Something about this moment brought you here, as if a thread you couldn't see was pulling you toward a quiet space of reflection. There's a timing to this you may not have noticed, a specific alignment in the heavens that matches the rhythm of your own heart. You may have been feeling something you couldn't explain, a restlessness or a quiet knowing that things cannot stay as they are. Just give this a little space to unfold, my heir, because what is about to be revealed is meant only for your ears. There is something about the way the light is falling on your path today that suggests a chapter is closing, and in a moment, this may become clearer as we look deeper into the shadows you have been walking through. My child, you may have been carrying a suffocating heaviness lately, a weight that feels like it belongs to someone else but has settled firmly on your shoulders. You might be noticing now how often you've had to take deep breaths just to find your center, as if the very air around your dreams has grown thin and cold. This pressure is not a sign of your weakness, but an indication of the atmosphere you are currently in. You have been navigating a landscape where the spirits of eternal scarcity have tried to convince you that there is never enough, and that your portion is meant to be small and hard-won. Stay with this moment, for there is a reason you are being asked to acknowledge this burden before it is finally lifted from your life. You may have felt this before, perhaps while standing in a long line at the store, or while looking at a pile of papers on your desk, wondering if the cycle will ever truly break. You have lived as an overlooked warrior of faith, fighting battles with no audience and carrying scars no one else has bothered to see. There is an inner struggle you know well, the one where you try to balance your deep belief in abundance with the stark reality of the numbers you see before you. You may be sensing that this internal conflict is reaching its peak, and this connects to something deeper than just a temporary struggle with resources. It is possible that the resistance you felt was never about your effort, but about a celestial realignment that is only now coming to completion. My beloved, I have watched you in those subtle real-life moments where you chose to be generous even when your own cup was nearly empty. I saw you smile at a stranger when your own heart was tight with worry, and I heard the silent prayers you whispered when you thought the heavens were made of brass. You are not here randomly, and your persistence in the face of what felt like a permanent drought has not gone unnoticed by the eyes that see all. There is an awareness dawning within you that you are more than a survivor of these lean years. You are beginning to recognize the sovereign air of miracles that has been hidden beneath the layers of survival. Not everything is clear yet, but the fog is beginning to thin at the edges of your perception. Something is shifting quietly in the unseen realms, a movement of stars and a repositioning of ancient gates that govern the flow of earthly riches. You may notice a sudden change in the way you view your own worth, as if the old mirrors of lack are being shattered to reveal a more radiant truth. In a moment, the significance of the threshold you are standing on will become more apparent, but for now, simply feel the ground beneath your feet. It is a sacred place, a quiet midnight threshold where the old world ends and the new one is yet to be fully seen. If something within you resonates with this shift, you may already understand why you're here at this exact hour, listening to a voice that knows your true name. My chosen, imagine for a moment a silent corridor that stretches out before you, away from the noise of the world and into a place of profound stillness. In this inner chamber of reflection, there is a golden scepter of favor waiting for you, a symbol of authority that you were always meant to carry but have perhaps forgotten. This scepter is not meant for an earthly king, but for the one who has mastered the art of trusting in the unseen when everything visible was screaming in doubt. You may be noticing a warmth in your hands now, a subtle reminder that your power to influence your own reality is being restored. This shift from heaviness to radiant victory is not a loud or violent event, but a graceful turning of a cosmic key. You may have sensed this before, a fleeting feeling that you were on the verge of a breakthrough, only to see it seemingly slip away at the last second. Those delays were not denials, my heir, but a form of divine protection that kept your heart from being overwhelmed by a harvest you weren't yet prepared to manage. Now, the timing is different, and the celestial alignment is such that what is yours can no longer be diverted or delayed. There is a divine invitation being extended to you today, one that carries a sense of quiet urgency, because the window of transition is perfectly positioned right now. Stay with this moment and do not rush past it, for the invitation is personal and requires your conscious awareness to be fully accepted. My child, it is time to address the spirits of scarcity that have followed your bloodline like a shadow, whispering that you must always settle for the leftovers. You may have been feeling the cold touch of this spirit every time you reached for a new opportunity, only to find yourself hesitating out of a fear you couldn't name. We are standing together at the threshold of total transformation, and in this place, those old whispers carry no weight and have no authority. You are being invited to trade that suffocating heaviness for a garment of praise that feels as light as the morning sun on your skin. As you let go of the old identity of the one who lacks, you are stepping into the reality of the one who overflows. You may be noticing now that the tension in your chest is beginning to dissolve, replaced by a steady confidence that does not depend on the morning news or the bank's reports. There is an emotional recognition scene unfolding within you, where your past self meets your future self and realizes that the bridge between them was always made of faith. You have walked through the fire and did not burn, and you have crossed the desert without losing your thirst for the living water. This is the mark of a sovereign heir, someone who knows that their provision is tied to a celestial source that never runs dry. If this has resonated with you, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that sensation is the evidence of things already in motion. My beloved, as we close this initial chapter of our reflection, remember that you are a carrier of a light that the world desperately needs but cannot always understand. The golden scepter of favor is not just for your comfort, but for the establishment of a legacy that will outlast the struggles you have endured. Stay with this feeling of peace, for it is the foundation upon which your new house of abundance is being built. You are always welcome to stay connected to this frequency of truth, for your journey is far from over, and there is much more to be revealed. Rest now in the knowledge that the realignment is complete, the enemy is silenced, and your radiant victory is not just a hope, but a present reality. Out of everything you could have done with these passing minutes, you paused here, as if your soul recognized a frequency it had been searching for. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, for there is a subtle vibration in the atmosphere that suggests a profound turning point. Part of you already understands this, sensing a shift in the gravity of your circumstances that your mind hasn't quite labeled yet. Don't rush past this just yet, my beloved, for what is unfolding right now is a specific response to the quietest questions you've ever asked the universe. There is something about the way your focus has narrowed onto these words that suggests a door is beginning to creak open, and in a moment, we will look at what lies behind it. My chosen, you may have been navigating a season of profound confusion, where the path forward seemed obscured by a thick, gray mist. You may have felt this before, that strange sensation of walking in circles while putting in the effort of a marathon runner. It is as if you have been shouting into a void, waiting for an echo that never quite reaches your ears. You are noticing now how tired your spirit has become from the constant exertion of trying to force doors that were never meant for your current strength. This state of being is often the result of the spirits of eternal scarcity trying to convince you that your direction is lost, when in reality, you were simply being held in a place of preparation. You have lived as the overlooked warrior of faith, the one who does the work in the shadows while others receive the applause in the light. Perhaps you've had a moment lately, sitting in your car after a long day or staring at a flickering screen, where you wondered if your sacrifices were even being recorded. There is a subtle inner struggle you know well, the feeling of being almost there, yet watching as the resources you need seem to evaporate just as you reach for them. This creates a suffocating heaviness, a pressure that tells you your heritage is one of struggle rather than sovereignty. But there is a reason you are hearing this now, a reason that connects to a celestial realignment you cannot yet see with your physical eyes. Stay with this moment, my heir, for we are moving into a still inner chamber of your own heart, a place the world hasn't been allowed to touch. In this quiet setting, away from the frantic demands of not enough, there is a sealed scroll waiting upon a table of pure light. This scroll contains the blueprints of your earthly riches, the divine strategy for the wealth that has been assigned to your name since before time began. You may be sensing a stir of curiosity now, a small spark of hope that the story of your life isn't written in the ink of poverty, but in the gold of purpose. Not everything is clear yet, and the seal on the scroll remains intact for a specific reason that we are about to uncover. Something is shifting in the way the stars are positioned over your destiny, a celestial realignment that is bringing your earthly needs into harmony with your spiritual authority. You may have noticed that certain old ways of earning or manifesting simply don't work for you anymore, no matter how hard you try. This is not a failure, but an awakening to the fact that you are being called to operate from a higher law. You are not a beggar in the kingdom, but a sovereign heir of miracles who is learning to sign the decrees of heaven. There's something about this shift that feels both terrifying and deeply right, as if a long-dormant part of your identity is finally beginning to breathe. My child, you may be noticing a slight tension in your chest right now, a micro-tension that comes when the old world is being pushed aside to make room for the new. This is the threshold of total transformation, a boundary that many approach but few dare to cross because it requires leaving the familiar comfort of the struggle behind. You may have sensed this before, a sudden invitation to think bigger or to expect more, only to shrink back because the spirits of scarcity whispered that it was too good to be true. But this invitation is different. It is a celestial call to realign your expectations with the infinite nature of your provider. If something within you resonates, you may already understand that the time for shrinking has come to a permanent end. I want you to reflect on a subtle real-life moment, perhaps a time when you saw someone else succeed and felt a pang of, "Why not me?" That feeling was not envy, but your spirit recognizing a reality it was designed for. You are beginning to see that the suffocating heaviness was never meant to be your permanent home. It was a weight designed to build the spiritual muscle necessary to carry the golden scepter of favor. In a moment, the weight will feel different, transforming from a burden that crushes to a mantle that empowers. This is the process of moving from searching to recognizing, from wondering where your help is to seeing that it has been surrounding you all along. My beloved, there is something about the sealed scroll in your inner chamber that relates to the timing of your life. It has remained closed because it requires a specific level of inner stillness to read the instructions written upon it. You may be noticing now that your breathing is slowing, and the noise of the world is fading into the background. This is the environment where miracles are birthed not in the frenzy of the hunt, but in the peace of the palace. You are being prepared to receive direction that will bypass years of traditional labor, moving you with divine speed toward the riches that have been realigned for your benefit. Stay with this moment, for the awareness you are gaining now is the key that breaks the seal on your future. As an overlooked warrior of faith, you have often felt that you had to defend your own territory, but a sovereign heir knows that the king defends the land. You are being invited to step out of the defensive posture of scarcity and into the expansive posture of radiant victory. This is a divine invitation that feels urgent, because the celestial window is perfectly aligned tonight for this specific transmission of grace. You may feel a gentle pull to surrender the how and the when, trusting that the realignment is being handled by hands much larger than your own. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this frequency of peace as we move further into this revelation. My heir, take a moment to notice the shift in your own internal climate. The confusion that once felt like a thick fog is beginning to lift, revealing a path that is marked with the golden scepter of favor. You are no longer the person who was defined by what was missing. You are becoming the one who is defined by what is being added. This is the journey of becoming, a process where your identity as a miracle bearer is solidified, and your authority over your earthly riches is established. Rest in this awareness, for the threshold has been crossed, and the radiant victory you have sought is already beginning to manifest in the quietest corners of your life. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that is the seal of truth upon your heart. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, as if the silence of your surroundings was intentionally cleared to make room for this specific frequency. Something is shifting quietly, beneath the surface of your daily routines, a movement within the hidden archive of your life that you may have sensed but couldn't yet define. You may have felt this before, a sudden, inexplicable pause in the middle of a busy day, where the world seems to stand still and wait for you to catch your breath. Stay with this for a moment, my heir, because the timing of this awareness is not a coincidence, and there is a deeper connection to your current struggle that is about to be revealed. My chosen, you have been walking through a silent corridor of reflection lately, one where the echoes of your own doubts have seemed louder than usual. You may be noticing this now, a subtle, persistent discomfort that arises when you think about the riches of this world and your place among them. It is as if you have been trying to read a light inscription on a wall that is just out of reach, sensing its importance but unable to grasp its meaning. This discomfort is not a sign of failure, but a necessary stretching of your spirit as you move from the silence of waiting into the clarity of becoming. The spirits of eternal scarcity have long tried to keep this corridor dark, but their influence is beginning to wane as you bring your attention to the light. You may have felt this before, perhaps while standing in your kitchen late at night, looking at a stack of bills, or thinking about a project that hasn't yet taken flight. There is a relatable inner struggle in the way you try to reconcile your identity as a sovereign heir of miracles with the mundane pressures of a world that values only what it can count. This creates a suffocating heaviness, a feeling that you are being squeezed between two realities that don't seem to fit together. You have lived as an overlooked warrior of faith, protecting the small sparks of hope in your heart while the wind of scarcity tried to blow them out. But this connects to something deeper, an open loop in your history that is finally beginning to close as the celestial realignment takes hold. Something is shifting in the unseen place of reflection where your destiny is stored, and you may notice a micro-tension in your spirit as the old narratives are rewritten. Not everything is clear yet, for the transformation from a mindset of lack to a reality of radiant victory is a delicate process that requires your full presence. You might recall a subtle real-life moment, perhaps a time when you had to say no to something you truly wanted because the resources weren't there, and the quiet sting of that moment still lingers in your memory. That sting was the enemy trying to mark you with a permanent sense of not enough. But that mark is being erased today by the golden scepter of favor. My child, you are not here randomly, and your presence in this digital space at this exact hour is a sign that you are ready to move beyond the threshold of total transformation. You may be sensing that the air around you is changing, growing warmer and more vibrant as the spirits of eternal scarcity retreat. This is an emotional recognition scene, a moment where you finally admit to yourself that you were never meant to live in the shadows of just enough. You are beginning to recognize that your heritage is one of overflow, and that the riches of the earth are being realigned to support the divine purpose you carry within your soul. If something within you resonates, you may already understand that the delay you experienced was actually a season of intense fortification. Stay with this moment, my heir, for there is something deeper here than just a comforting thought. There is a structural change happening in your spiritual DNA. You may notice that your inner voice is becoming more assertive, refusing to accept the crumbs that were once offered as a full meal. This is the identity pull of the sovereign heir, the part of you that knows it has a right to the archive of provision. In this hidden archive, every prayer you've ever breathed and every tear you've ever shed has been converted into a currency of grace that is now being released into your earthly experience. There's something about the way your heart is beating right now that confirms this truth. Even if your mind is still trying to catch up, you may have sensed this before, a sudden intuition that a massive change was coming, only to have the world tell you to be realistic and practical. But the practical world is often the domain of the spirits of scarcity, while the realistic truth is found in the celestial realignment of all things for your good. The golden scepter of favor is not a magic wand, but a symbol of your alignment with the laws of the universe, laws that favor growth, expansion, and abundance. In a moment, this may become clearer as you see the first signs of this realignment appearing in your physical world, perhaps through an unexpected connection or a sudden clarity regarding a financial decision. My beloved, take a moment to notice what you are feeling in the quiet spaces between my words. There is a divine invitation expiring tonight, not because of a threat, but because the celestial window for this specific transition is at its most potent right now. It is an invitation to leave the heaviness behind and step into the radiant victory that has been prepared for you since before you were born. You may feel a gentle pull to let go of the warrior identity for a moment and simply be the heir, allowing the provision to come to you rather than feeling you must always fight to find it. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this journey of awakening. I want you to envision a light inscription appearing on the wall of your inner chamber, glowing with a soft, steady radiance that dispels every shadow of doubt. This inscription contains your new name, not the name given to you by your struggles, but the one given to you by your origin. You are the sovereign heir of miracles, and the spirits of scarcity have no power over the one who knows their true identity. You may notice that as you accept this truth, the suffocating heaviness that once felt like a permanent part of your life begins to lift, revealing a horizon that is bright with the promise of earthly riches and spiritual fulfillment. My chosen, the path you have walked has been long and often lonely, but the overlooked warrior of faith is now being brought into the light of the King's favor. The realignment of your earthly riches is not a reward for your labor, but a natural consequence of your surrender to the divine flow. Rest in this awareness, for the threshold has been crossed, and the new chapter has begun. You are no longer searching for the door. You are standing in the room, and the archive of provision is open to you. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that inner peace is the evidence that the victory is already yours. You may not even know why you stopped here, my chosen, as if your scrolling was interrupted by an invisible hand that whispered for you to pause. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, for there is a quiet resonance in the air that suggests you are being held in a space between what was and what is yet to be. You may have sensed this before, a feeling that you are standing at the edge of a great expansion, waiting for the wind to catch your sails. Just give this a little space to settle into your spirit, for there is a reason your path has intersected with these words at this precise hour, and in a moment, the significance of this delay will become clearer as we venture into the depths of your inner world. My heir, you may have been feeling a profound sense of delay lately, as if every step you take toward your dreams is met with an invisible wall. You might be noticing this now, a subtle, growing frustration that arises when you see others moving effortlessly while you remain tethered to the same spot. This experience is often the work of the spirits of eternal scarcity, which use the illusion of time to make you feel as though your season has passed you by. This creates a suffocating heaviness, a weight that settles in your chest, and makes you question if the earthly riches I have promised are ever truly going to manifest in your reality. Stay with this for a moment, for the very delay you have detested is being revealed as a vital part of your celestial realignment. We are entering a still inner chamber now, a place of quiet reflection where the noise of the world's demands cannot reach you. In the center of this sacred room, a burning seal is resting upon an altar of ancient stone, glowing with a heat that feels like a refined version of your own passion. This seal is the guardian of your expansion, keeping the fullness of your destiny locked away until your spirit is strong enough to navigate the responsibilities of true favor. You may notice a micro-tension in your heart as you look at it, a realization that your delay was not a punishment but a deliberate pause. There is something about the flickering light of this seal that connects to a deeper truth about your identity as a sovereign heir of miracles. You have lived as an overlooked warrior of faith, fighting battles against lack and limitation with a courage that few could imagine. You may recall a subtle, real-life moment, perhaps a time when you had to make a difficult choice between paying a bill and following a dream, and you chose to trust in the unseen despite the cold facts of your situation. That moment of choice was a strike against the spirits of scarcity, a declaration that your value is not determined by your current balance, but by your eternal origin. You are not a victim of circumstance, but a warrior whose training is nearly complete. In a moment, this may become clearer as the heat of the burning seal begins to melt the barriers that have kept you small. Something is shifting in the way your spirit interacts with the concept of surrender, moving away from the idea of giving up and toward the reality of letting in. You may be noticing this now, a softening of the edges of your soul, a willingness to stop striving and start receiving. This is the core of your celestial realignment. For the earthly riches you seek cannot be captured by force. They must be attracted by a heart that is in harmony with the divine flow. There's something about this surrender that feels like a release of that suffocating heaviness, as if you are finally exhaling a breath you have been holding for years. Not everything is clear yet, but the expansion you have craved is already beginning to take root in the soil of your stillness. My child, think of a relatable inner struggle you faced. Perhaps the quiet pain of feeling like you are constantly behind in the race of life. You may have watched from the sidelines as friends or relatives achieved the very things you've prayed for, leaving you to wonder if there was some secret code you simply hadn't learned. This feeling of being overlooked is a tool the enemy uses to keep you from recognizing the golden scepter of favor that is already in your hand. But if something within you resonates with these words, you may already understand that your journey is not a race against others, but a unique unfolding of a cosmic plan. Your expansion is not being measured by earthly clocks, but by the readiness of your heart to carry the weight of radiant victory. There is a divine invitation expiring tonight, not because the offer will be withdrawn, but because the current alignment of grace is uniquely suited for a radical shift in your financial and spiritual trajectory. This invitation is for you to step out of the delay and into the surrender that leads to total transformation. You may feel a gentle pull to stop looking at what is missing and start focusing on the unseen place of reflection where your true wealth is stored. Just give this a little space, for as you surrender the need to control the outcome, you open the gates for the celestial realignment to do its work. Stay with this moment, for there is something deeper here that is rearranging the molecules of your expectations. You may have sensed this before, a sudden rush of peace that makes no sense given your current bank account or your recent setbacks. This peace is the first sign of your radiant victory, a signal from the sovereign heir of miracles within you that the tide is finally turning. You are noticing now that the suffocating heaviness is being replaced by a buoyant hope, a sense that the riches of the earth are being realigned to meet the purpose I have placed on your life. The burning seal is not there to keep you out, but to ensure that when you enter your season of expansion, you do so with a spirit that is purified of the need to prove yourself to anyone. In this still inner chamber, notice how the light from the burning seal is beginning to expand, touching the corners of the room and revealing treasures you hadn't noticed before. This is a metaphor for your life as you surrender to the divine timing. Your awareness expands to see the opportunities and resources that were always there, hidden by the fog of scarcity. You may find that a conversation you had weeks ago suddenly bears fruit, or a forgotten idea suddenly becomes the key to a new stream of provision. These are the markers of a celestial realignment, the coincidences that prove the universe is working on your behalf. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this flow of encouragement. My heir, take a moment to notice what you're feeling in your body right now. Is there a lightness in your shoulders, or a steady beat in your heart that says yes? This physical response is your soul's confirmation of the transition from delay to expansion. You are no longer the overlooked warrior fighting for scraps. You are the sovereign heir preparing to manage a kingdom. The transformation is not something you have to manufacture. It is something you are allowing to happen as you stay in this posture of surrender and reflection. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, and let that awareness be the anchor for your new reality of radiant victory. As you step away from this quiet space and back into your daily walk, carry the heat of the burning seal with you. Let it be a reminder that your time of being overlooked is over, and your season of being celebrated is beginning. The earthly riches that were once held back are now flowing toward you, realigned by the hand of the one who knows the end from the beginning. You are moving into a chapter of unprecedented growth, where the only limit is the one you choose to set. Rest in this truth, my chosen, for the realignment is finished, and the expansion has begun. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, as if a silent signal was sent to your spirit to look up from the noise and pressure of your day. Something is shifting quietly in the rhythm of your life, a subtle adjustment in the timing of things that you may not have noticed yet, but your heart has certainly felt. You may have sensed this before, a feeling that the environment around you is charged with a new kind of potential that you can't quite put into words. Just give this a little space to unfold, my child, for there is a divine invitation intended for this exact moment of your journey, and it connects to a shift that is much larger than you can currently see. You may have been feeling a suffocating heaviness lately, a weight that feels like a physical presence pressing against your chest whenever you think about your future or your finances. You might be noticing this now, a sense that your efforts are being swallowed by an insatiable hunger of never enough, regardless of how much energy or heart you pour into your labor. This heaviness is not your natural state, nor is it a reflection of your worth, but rather an atmosphere created by spirits of eternal scarcity that have tried to claim your territory. There is something about this weight that is actually a sign of the immense value you carry, for the enemy only tries to bury what it knows is about to bloom with radiant victory. We are entering an unseen place of reflection now, a sanctuary within the spirit where the distractions of the material world are silenced and the soul can breathe. In this space, there is a divine key hanging in the air, shimmering with the light of 1,000 promises that have yet to be fully unlocked in your experience. You may have felt this before, a sudden intuitive flash that you were missing just one vital piece of information to change your entire story. This key connects to something deeper than just a simple solution to a problem. It is the spiritual link between your current struggle and a celestial realignment of all your earthly riches that is happening even as we speak. Think of a subtle real-life moment, perhaps a time when you checked a balance or looked at your bills and felt a cold knot of anxiety form in your stomach. Despite your best attempts to stay positive, you have lived as an overlooked warrior of faith, showing up for everyone else's needs, while privately wondering when the heavens will finally open for your own. There is a relatable inner struggle in wanting to live with a generous, open heart, while feeling like you are constantly counting the pennies of your own life to ensure survival. This creates a micro-tension in your soul, an open loop that is searching for the resolution of the radiant victory you were promised before you ever set foot on this path. My beloved, you are not here randomly, and your spirit is beginning to recognize its own identity as a sovereign heir of miracles who is no longer bound by the laws of lack. You may notice that as you allow these words to settle, the edges of that suffocating heaviness are starting to fray, revealing a soft radiance that has been hidden for many seasons. Not everything is clear yet, for the process of moving from a mindset of scarcity to a reality of abundance requires a gentle unwinding of old, inherited beliefs. There's something about the way you are processing this moment that suggests you are finally ready to stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a manager of grace. Something is shifting in the stars that govern your provision, a celestial realignment that is bringing your earthly needs back into their rightful orbit around your divine purpose. You may have felt that your life was out of sync, as if the reward for your hard work was constantly landing in someone else's lap while you were left with only the lessons and the exhaustion. In a moment, this may become clearer as the divine key begins to turn in the lock of your current limitations, opening doors that have been rusted shut by years of disappointment. This is not a process you can rush through with your intellect, but one you must allow to happen through a deep internal release of the need to control every outcome. If something within you resonates with this truth, you may already understand that the delay you have faced was actually a form of cosmic protection. Stay with this moment, for there is a reason you are hearing this now, and it connects to an inheritance of earthly riches that is much larger than just a temporary fix for your problems. You are being invited to move from a place of searching for answers to a place of recognizing the abundance that has already been assigned to your name in the higher realms. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this quiet space as we move further into the awareness and the release of your radiant victory. The spirits of eternal scarcity have tried to convince you that there is a limited supply of joy and provision, making you feel that for you to win, someone else must lose. You may be noticing now that the more you focus on the divine key and the reality of your identity, the less power those old anxieties have over your daily thoughts. There is a shift happening from confusion to awakening, where you realize that you don't have to fight for what has already been ordained for you by the celestial laws of favor. The heaviness is lifting because the authority of scarcity is being broken by the sovereign heir within you, who is finally waking up to their true power. Imagine a subtle, real-life moment in the near future where you suddenly receive a piece of news that changes everything. A phone call, an email, or a sudden realization that a major burden has been lifted. You may have sensed this coming, a quiet hum in your spirit that told you the season of lack was finally drawing to a close, even when the world around you said otherwise. This is the frequency of radiant victory, the feeling of walking in the sun after a long, dark winter of emotional and financial struggle. You are becoming someone who moves with ease and confidence through the world, not because you have no challenges, but because you finally have the divine key to overcome them. My heir, take a moment to notice what you're feeling in your body as we conclude this part of your transformation today. The threshold of total transformation has been crossed, and the unseen place of reflection has done its work in realigning your heart with the riches of the heavens. You are no longer the overlooked warrior. You are the celebrated heir. And the golden scepter of favor is resting in your hands, ready to be used for good. Rest in this awareness, for the release of your destiny has begun, and your story is being rewritten in the language of miracles and overflow. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, and let that peace be the final seal on your transition tonight. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, as if the very flow of your day was paused by a celestial hand that wanted your undivided attention. Something is shifting quietly beneath the layers of your routine, a movement in the timing of your life that you may not have fully identified yet, but your spirit is already leaning toward it. You may have felt this before, a sudden sense of anticipation that makes your heart race for no apparent reason, as if you are waiting for a signal that is just about to arrive from a distant shore. Don't rush past this just yet, my beloved, for there is a resonance in this moment that belongs only to you. And in a moment, the purpose of this quiet interruption will become clearer as we explore the silence you have been navigating. My child, you may have been enduring a long period of silence lately, a time where it felt as though your prayers were disappearing into a vast, empty sky, without so much as a whisper of a reply. You might be noticing this now, a subtle, growing discomfort that comes when you realize that the old ways of living and providing are no longer sustaining your spirit or your household. This silence is often the tool used by the spirits of eternal scarcity to make you feel as though you have been abandoned to your own devices, or forgotten by the heavens themselves. This creates a suffocating heaviness, a feeling that you are trapped in a cycle of effort that never leads to the radiant victory you know you were born to experience. Stay with this for a moment, for there is something deeper happening in the quiet that is about to be revealed to your awakening heart. You have lived as the overlooked warrior of faith, standing guard over your hope, while the world around you seemed to grow colder and more indifferent to your needs. You are not here randomly, and your presence at this quiet midnight threshold is a sign that the celestial realignment of your earthly riches is reaching its peak. There's something about this specific moment that connects to an ancient promise made to your ancestors, an open loop of blessing that has been waiting for someone with your specific strength and integrity to claim it. Not everything is clear yet, but the heaviness you've carried is being transformed into the weight of a glory you are finally ready to handle. You may be sensing this shift now, as if the air around you is suddenly charged with a different kind of electricity. We are standing now before an open gate that leads to a realm of clarity you haven't dared to imagine for many years, perhaps since the innocence of your childhood. In this sacred setting, the light of a new day is beginning to crest over the horizon of your soul, revealing the path that was once hidden by the shadows of lack and the mist of confusion. You may have felt this before, that strange tug in your spirit to look toward the horizon, even when your current circumstances suggested there was absolutely nothing to see. This is the awareness trigger of the sovereign heir, the part of you that recognizes the golden scepter of favor even before it is placed visibly in your hand. Just give this a little space, for as you look through the gate, the discomfort of the past is beginning to dissolve into the certainty of your future. Think of a relatable inner struggle you've faced, Perhaps the quiet pain of feeling like you are constantly on the outside of the blessings you see others enjoying so effortlessly. You may recall a subtle, real-life moment, like walking past a beautiful home you wished was yours, or seeing a financial balance that didn't reflect the immense work you've put in, and feeling a sharp, cold pang of displacement. That discomfort was never meant to discourage you or to suggest you were unworthy, but to act as a homing signal, pulling you toward the clarity of your true destination. There is a micro-tension in your spirit right now, as you realize that the gate is not just open for others, but specifically and intentionally for you. Stay with this moment, for there is something deeper here that is rearranging your sense of belonging in the world. Something is shifting in the way your earthly riches are being realigned, moving them away from the hands of those who would misuse them and toward the hidden archive of your own life. You may notice that as you stand at this threshold, the suffocating heaviness is being replaced by a sense of divine right, a realization that abundance is your natural state, and scarcity was the intruder. The spirits of scarcity are losing their grip on your imagination, allowing you to see that your provision is tied to a celestial source that is as limitless and constant as the stars. In a moment, this may become clearer as you begin to see the first ripples of this change in your daily life, perhaps through an unexpected clarity regarding a long-standing financial problem or a sudden idea for a new stream of income. If something within you resonates with this shift, you may already understand why you're here, listening to a voice that speaks to the air instead of the worker. This is an invitation to leave the silence and the discomfort behind and step into the radiant victory that has been waiting for your arrival for many years. You are being asked to accept the golden scepter of favor not as a gift for your labor, but as a symbol of your eternal identity and your authority over your own world. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this quiet space as we explore the fullness of your transformation. Just give this a little space, for the transition from the overlooked warrior to the celebrated heir is a journey of the heart that requires your full presence. My heir, notice how the silence has changed from something that felt lonely to something that feels pregnant with possibility and divine expectation. This is the awakening of clarity, the moment where you stop asking when and how, and start realizing that now is the only time that truly matters in the kingdom of grace. You are noticing now that the path through the open gate is clearly marked with the evidence of my favor, and that every step you take is being met with a divine response that matches your faith. The spirits of scarcity can no longer follow you into this new landscape, for the light of your radiant victory is too bright and too pure for them to endure. There is a reason this clarity is arriving now, and it connects to a divine invitation that is reaching its perfect point of expiration tonight. The invitation to cross the threshold of total transformation is being extended to you one final time in this cycle, as the celestial realignment reaches its perfect point of balance over your life. You may feel a gentle pull to surrender the last of your doubts and step fully into the light of your sovereign identity, leaving the rags of the warrior behind for the robes of the heir. There is no pressure here, only a quiet recognition of the truth that has always lived within you, even in the darkest nights of your soul. The earthly riches that have been held in the hidden archive are being released into your hands, for you have proven through the fire that your heart is a safe and honorable place for the king's treasure. Rest in this awareness, for the gate is open, the path is clear, and the victory is already yours. My beloved, as you integrate this shift into your spirit, take a moment to notice what you're feeling in the quietest parts of your soul right now. Is there a sense of expansion, a lightness in your breathing, or a quiet amen that rises from your heart to meet these words of truth? This is the final seal of the celestial realignment, the confirmation that you are no longer the one who lacks, but the one who overflows with the riches of heaven. You may find that tomorrow looks different to you, seen through eyes that no longer search for scarcity, but recognize favor in every corner and every conversation. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, and let that peace guide you as you walk boldly into the reality of your radiant victory. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, as if your scrolling was halted by a divine signal you weren't even looking for. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, for there is a specific alignment in the unseen realm that has finally caught up with your physical journey. Part of you already understands this, sensing a vibration of truth that cuts through the noise of your daily worries and pressures. Let this unfold for a second. My chosen, because there is something about the timing of your arrival here that suggests a massive cycle of delay is finally reaching its conclusion. My heir, you have walked a path marked by a persistent sense of delay, where it felt as though the very air around your progress was thick and resistant. You might be noticing this now, a subtle, heavy exhaustion that comes not from working too hard, but from hoping too long without seeing the harvest. This experience of waiting has been used by the spirits of eternal scarcity to suggest that you are somehow forgotten, or that the celestial realignment of your earthly riches has bypassed your home. Stay with this moment, for there is a reason the wait has felt so suffocating lately, and it relates to the strength you were required to build before your expansion could begin. You have lived as an overlooked warrior of faith, standing firm in the gap when others would have walked away from the promise. You may recall a subtle, real-life moment, perhaps a rainy afternoon or a quiet morning over a lukewarm cup of coffee, when the silence of your bank account seemed to mock the greatness of the dreams I placed in your soul. There is a relatable inner struggle in maintaining your dignity while navigating the pressures of lack, a microtension that stretches your heart between who you are and what you see. But you are not here randomly, and that tension is actually the pulling of the bowstring before the arrow of your radiant victory is released. We are entering a still inner chamber now, a place of quiet reflection, where the hidden archive of your life is stored in vaults of shimmering light. In this sacred space, there is a glowing book resting on a pedestal of cedar and gold, and its pages are filled with the record of every sacrifice you have ever made. You may have sensed this before, a feeling that your faithfulness was being tracked by something far more accurate than any human ledger. This book contains the blueprints for your total transformation, showing how the delay was never a denial, but a deliberate period of seasoning for the sovereign heir of miracles that you are becoming. There is something about the way the light from this glowing book is reflecting in your eyes right now that suggests you are ready to surrender the fight. You may be noticing this now, a sudden willingness to lay down the weapons of your own striving and pick up the golden scepter of favor instead. This is a divine invitation to move out of the role of the struggling warrior and into the role of the seated heir who simply receives what has been realigned. Not everything is clear yet, but as you surrender the how, the open loop of your financial history is beginning to find its resolution in a celestial flow of abundance. As you stand in this still inner chamber, the walls themselves seem to be expanding, moving outward to accommodate the vastness of the earthly riches that are being channeled toward you. This shift from heaviness to expansion is a physical sensation, a loosening of the band around your chest and a clearing of the fog in your mind. You may have felt this before, a momentary glimpse of a life where you are not just surviving, but thriving and blessing others with your overflow. In a moment, this may become clearer as the realignment of your resources begins to manifest in tangible ways through sudden openings and unexpected arrivals of support. My beloved, notice the micro-tension that arises when you think about actually having more than enough, a small voice of the old scarcity spirit that asks, "Can I really handle this?" This is a natural part of the awakening process, a sign that you are pushing against the boundaries of your old identity. You are being refined in this moment, moving from a person who manages lack to a person who manages abundance with grace and wisdom. Stay with this feeling, for as you observe the fear without letting it lead you, it loses its power to keep you in the delay. You are recognizing that the golden scepter of favor fits your hand perfectly, as if it were designed for you since the beginning of time. There is a divine invitation expiring tonight, a window of grace that is specifically aligned to move you past the threshold of your current limitations. This invitation is not meant to rush you, but to highlight the potency of this exact hour in your spiritual evolution. You may feel a gentle pull to accept your position as a sovereign heir of miracles, acknowledging that your period of being overlooked is officially over. If something within you resonates, you may already understand that the delay was just the womb for the expansion that is now being birthed in your life. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this quiet corridor of truth. Think of a subtle, real-life moment in your near future. Perhaps you are walking through a store or looking at a new opportunity, and you realize that the old no has been replaced by a resounding yes from the universe. You are noticing now that your internal dialogue has changed, no longer centered on what you cannot afford, but on what you are being called to build. This is the clarity that comes after surrender, the awareness that the spirits of scarcity have been evicted from your mental home. You are no longer searching for your breakthrough. You are recognizing that you are the breakthrough, and everything you need is realigning to match your new vibration. My child, the realignment of your earthly riches is a testimony to your endurance as an overlooked warrior of faith who refused to bow to the gods of lack. You are being elevated now, and the golden scepter of favor is the evidence of your authority to call forth the resources hidden in the archive of heaven. There is something about this moment that is permanent, a shift that cannot be undone by the opinions of others or the temporary fluctuations of the world. You are stepping into a radiant victory that is anchored in the eternal, a provision that carries no sorrow and requires no frantic labor to maintain. Rest now in the expansion of your own soul, for the suffocating heaviness has been traded for the light of a new and glorious morning. Take a moment to notice what you're feeling in the quietest part of your heart, for that deep, unshakable peace is the seal of your new reality. Something about this moment brought you here, almost as if the noise of the world was dialed down just so you could hear the whisper of your own destiny. There's a timing to this you may not have noticed, a rhythmic pulse in the universe that is finally beating in sync with your heart's desire. You may have sensed this before, a quiet intuition that the cycle of not enough was nearing its absolute end. Stay with this for a moment, my heir, for there is a reason this specific archive of wisdom has opened for you today, and in a moment, the significance of your presence here will become undeniably clear. My beloved, you may have been carrying a suffocating heaviness that feels like a physical shroud, draped over your shoulders and obscuring your view of the horizon. You might be noticing this now, a persistent, dull ache in your spirit that comes from years of navigating a desert of scarcity, while being told you are standing in an oasis. This heaviness is not your burden to bear anymore, but it has served a purpose, grounding you in a deep resilience that only those who have truly lacked can ever possess. There is something about this weight that is shifting, becoming lighter as you realize that the pressure you felt was actually the gravity of a massive celestial realignment taking place on your behalf. You have lived as an overlooked warrior of faith, fighting silent battles in the aisles of grocery stores and in the quiet moments before sleep when the numbers simply didn't add up. You may recall a subtle, real-life moment, perhaps the way you felt when you had to put something back because the price was just a few cents too high, or the sting of a declined card in a crowded place. These moments were not designed to shame you, but were orchestrated by the spirits of eternal scarcity to make you believe that your life was defined by limits. You are not here randomly, and those memories are now being gathered and rewritten as the origin story of your radiant victory. We are walking now through a silent corridor, a space of profound reflection, where the echoes of the world's demands are replaced by the soft hum of divine provision. In this corridor, the walls are lined with a hidden archive of your life, not the one the world sees, but the one I have kept, filled with every seed of generosity you sowed when you were in need. You may have felt this before, a strange sense that your actions were being recorded by an unseen hand, even when no one else was watching. This archive is now being opened, and the celestial realignment of your earthly riches is drawing from these deep reservoirs of your own faithfulness. There is something about the way you are breathing right now that suggests an awakening is taking place within the very marrow of your bones. You may be noticing this now, a subtle release of the micro-tension you've held in your jaw and heart, as the identity of the struggling warrior begins to dissolve into that of the sovereign heir. This transition is not always comfortable, as it requires you to let go of the familiar struggle that has defined your daily existence for so long. But stay with this moment, my chosen, for the hidden archive contains blueprints for a life of miracles that you are finally ready to inhabit. In a moment, This may become clearer as the light from the archive begins to illuminate the path forward. The spirits of eternal scarcity have long whispered that there is only so much to go around, and that you must fight for every crumb that falls from the table of abundance. You may notice that as you walk through this silent corridor, those whispers are becoming faint and distorted, losing their power to influence your internal compass. You are being invited to move from a place of searching for scraps to a place of recognizing the vastness of the earthly riches that have been realigned for your benefit. This is the core of your total transformation, the realization that you do not have to compete for what has already been uniquely assigned to your name in the celestial ledgers. Think of a relatable inner struggle you've faced, perhaps the quiet, gnawing fear that your children or your loved ones would inherit the same patterns of lack that have shadowed your own journey. You may have spent nights staring at the ceiling, trying to calculate a way out of a maze that seemed to have no exit. This is where the suffocating heaviness was at its most intense. But it is also the place where your radiant victory is most potent. The realignment is not just for you, but for the entire bloodline that flows behind and ahead of you, creating a legacy of wealth that is anchored in spiritual authority and divine favor. Something is shifting in the unseen place of reflection, a realignment of resources that is pulling toward you like a magnet. You may have sensed this before, a sudden, unexplained surge of hope that made you feel as though a great treasure was just around the corner. That feeling was not a trick of the mind, but a spiritual awareness of the celestial shifts occurring in the hidden archive of your provision. In a moment, this may become clearer as you see the first signs of this realignment manifesting in your daily life, perhaps through a debt being unexpectedly forgiven or a new opportunity appearing out of nowhere. My heir, there is a divine invitation expiring tonight, a window of grace that is perfectly positioned to move you from the silent corridor into the fullness of your inheritance. This invitation is for you to finally accept the golden scepter of favor as your rightful possession, letting go of the identity of the one who is always overlooked. You may feel a gentle pull to step into a new level of confidence, one that is not based on your own ability to earn, but on my ability to provide. If something within you resonates, you may already understand that the time for waiting is over and the time for receiving has begun. I want you to imagine a real-life moment in the coming days where you walk into a room and feel an immediate sense of favor, as if the very atmosphere was prepared for your arrival. This is the evidence of the sovereign heir of miracles, the one who no longer begs for entry but walks through doors that have been realigned for their purpose. You are noticing now that the suffocating heaviness has been entirely replaced by a radiant victory that shines from within you, attracting the earthly riches that match your new vibration. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this quiet space of transformation and truth. My beloved, take a moment to notice what you are feeling in your spirit as we conclude this portion of our journey through the hidden archive. There is a deep, resonant peace settling over your heart, a confirmation that the celestial realignment is not just a promise, but a present reality. You have moved from the heaviness of the struggle into the awareness of your own sovereignty, and the path ahead is clear and bright. Rest in this awareness, for the overlooked warrior has been vindicated, and the heir has been crowned with favor that will never fade. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, and let that peace be your guide as you step into your new life of abundance. There's a timing to this you may not have noticed, a rhythmic pulse in the universe that has finally aligned with the quietest frequency of your soul. Out of everything you could have done with this moment, you paused here, as if an invisible hand reached out to steady your heart in the midst of a storm. You may have been feeling a restlessness you couldn't quite explain, a sense that the atmosphere of your life is becoming electric with a change that has yet to reveal its face. Stay with this for a moment, my heir, because there is something about the way your spirit is leaning into these words that suggests a massive cycle of silence is coming to a definitive end. My beloved, you have been navigating a season of suffocating heaviness, a pressure that feels like trying to run through water while carrying the weight of a world that doesn't know your name. You might be noticing this now, a subtle, persistent ache in your chest that appears whenever you look toward the future and see only the shadows of the struggles you've already endured. This heaviness is the signature of the spirits of eternal scarcity, which have tried to convince you that your destiny is tied to the dry ground beneath your feet rather than the infinite heavens above you. There is a reason this weight has felt so unbearable lately, and it connects to a deep spiritual stretching that is preparing you for a radiant victory you are finally ready to inhabit. You have lived as an overlooked warrior of faith, standing in the gap for others while your own walls seem to be crumbling under the weight of not enough. You may recall a subtle real-life moment, perhaps a time when you sat in the quiet of your car, staring at a bill or a bank balance, and felt a cold wave of displacement wash over you. There is a relatable inner struggle in being the one everyone else leans on while you privately wonder if there is anyone strong enough to lean on yourself. This creates a micro-tension in your soul, an open loop where your deep belief in "my goodness" is constantly colliding with the stark, cold facts of your current bank statement. But you are not here randomly, and those quiet battles in the dark are the very things that have qualified you for the celestial realignment of your earthly riches. We are standing now at a quiet midnight threshold, a place where the light of the old world is fading, and the radiance of a new beginning is just starting to pierce the veil. In this unseen place of reflection, there is an open gate leading into the hidden archive of your life, where every promise I have ever made to you is stored in its most potent form. You may have sensed this before, a feeling that there was a reservoir of blessing just behind a door you couldn't quite find the key to. This archive is not a place of history, but a place of possibility, and the celestial realignment is currently moving the resources from these heavenly vaults into your earthly experience. Not everything is clear yet, but as you stand at this gate, the suffocating heaviness is beginning to dissolve into a buoyant sense of divine right. Something is shifting in the way your spirit recognizes its own authority, moving from the posture of a servant hoping for a crumb to the identity of a sovereign heir of miracles who expects the feast. You may notice this now, a sudden, sharp clarity that the no you have heard for so long was never my voice, but the echo of a scarcity mindset you are finally outgrowing. This is the core of your total transformation, the moment where you stop searching for a way out and start recognizing that the way through has been prepared since before you were born. The divine key to your provision is not found in more labor or more striving, but in the deep, resonant yes that is currently rising from your heart to meet my promise. Think of a relatable inner struggle you've faced lately. Perhaps the quiet sting of seeing someone else walk through a door you've been knocking on for years. You may have questioned if there was some secret you were missing, or if your faithfulness was somehow less valuable than theirs. This feeling of being overlooked is a tool the spirits of scarcity use to keep you from seeing the golden scepter of favor that has been resting in your hand all along. But if something within you resonates with these words, you may already understand that your delay was not a denial, but a period of intense celestial alignment. Your riches were not being withheld. They were being realigned to ensure that when they arrive, they come with a peace that the world can neither give nor take away. My chosen, there is a divine invitation expiring tonight, a window of transition that is perfectly positioned to move you past the threshold of your past disappointments. This invitation is for you to finally accept that the season of being the overlooked warrior is over, and the season of being the celebrated heir has begun. You may feel a gentle pull to surrender the last of your anxieties, trusting that the celestial realignment is handling the details that have kept you awake at night. Just give this a little space to settle, for there is something deeper here that is rearranging the very architecture of your life. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the first ripples of this new abundance begin to touch the shore of your physical reality. You may have sensed this before, a sudden rush of gratitude for things that haven't even manifested yet, as if your heart was already celebrating a victory that your eyes couldn't see. This is the frequency of the sovereign heir. The part of you that knows the hidden archive is already being emptied for your benefit. You are noticing now that the suffocating heaviness is being replaced by a radiant victory that doesn't just change your finances, but changes the way you carry yourself in the world. You are no longer the person who shrinks back in the face of a challenge. You are the one who knows that every mountain is just an opportunity for a miracle to be revealed. As you look through the open gate, notice how the light inscription on the walls of your destiny is changing, rewriting the story of your lack into a narrative of overflow. This is a process of becoming, where you allow the truth of your celestial identity to overwrite the lies of your earthly struggles. You may find that tomorrow, a conversation you've been dreading suddenly becomes a source of favor, or an obstacle that has stood in your way for years suddenly vanishes without a trace. These are the markers of a life that has been realigned with the riches of the heavens, a life that no longer fights for survival but thrives in the light of divine favor. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this flow of awakening and expansion. My heir, take a moment to notice what you're feeling in your spirit as we stand at this quiet midnight threshold together. There is a deep, unshakable peace settling over you, a confirmation that the celestial realignment is finished and your radiant victory is now in motion. You are no longer the overlooked warrior. You are the sovereign heir, and the earthly riches that were once a source of stress are becoming a tool for your purpose. Rest in this awareness, for the threshold has been crossed, and the new chapter is already being written in the ink of miracles. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that inner stillness is the final seal on your transformation tonight. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, as if the universe held its breath just to allow you this single moment of absolute clarity. Something is shifting quietly beneath the surface of your life, a realignment of the very stars that oversee your earthly needs and spiritual calling. You may have sensed this before, a feeling that you were being prepared for something so vast that your current world could no longer contain it. Don't rush past this just yet, my beloved, for we have reached the final threshold of your total transformation, and in a moment, the golden scepter of favor will be fully placed in your hand. My child, you may have been feeling a suffocating heaviness for so long that you forgot what it was like to breathe without effort. You might be noticing this now, a subtle, persistent tension that leaves your body only when you are in deep sleep, yet greets you the moment you open your eyes. This weight was never intended to crush you, though the spirits of eternal scarcity tried their best to use it as an anchor to keep you in the depths of lack. This heaviness was actually the weight of the armor you wore as an overlooked warrior of faith, protecting the sacred seed of your destiny through the harshest winters of your soul. Stay with this moment, for there is a reason the armor is falling away now, and it connects to a radiant victory that is finally ready to be unveiled. You have lived as the one who held the line when everyone else retreated, the one who kept believing in abundance while staring at an empty cupboard. You may recall a subtle real-life moment, perhaps the quiet dignity you maintained while explaining to a loved one why a certain dream had to be put on hold again. There is a relatable inner struggle in being the strongest person in the room, while feeling like the most invisible soul in the world. This creates a micro-tension in your spirit, an open loop where you wonder if your endurance has a limit and if the reward will ever match the sacrifice. But you are not here randomly, and your identity as the sovereign heir of miracles is being forged in the very heat of that internal conflict. We are standing now at the threshold of total transformation, a place that feels like a quiet midnight threshold where the stars are so close you can almost hear their song. In this sacred setting, the spirits of eternal scarcity are being silenced, their voices fading into a distant, harmless static that can no longer reach your ears. You may have felt this before, a sudden rush of peace that makes the old worries seem small and insignificant, as if you were looking at them from a great height. Not everything is clear yet, for the realignment of your earthly riches is a complex movement that requires your spirit to be completely still. In a moment, this will become clearer, as the golden scepter of favor is revealed as your true instrument of authority. My chosen, notice how your awareness is expanding to include possibilities that you previously dismissed as impossible or too far out of reach. You are noticing now that the walls of your life are not made of stone, but of thoughts that can be rearranged and realigned by the power of your own recognition. This is the awakening of the heir, the part of you that stops asking for permission to exist and starts commanding the resources of the kingdom. There's something about the way the light is changing in your inner world that suggests you are finally ready to handle the weight of the gold without losing your way. If something within you resonates, You may already understand that the delay was actually a form of divine filtration, removing everything that wasn't strong enough for your future. Think of a subtle, real-life moment in your near future, perhaps a day when you walk into a place of business and feel an immediate, overwhelming sense of yes coming from every direction. You may have sensed this coming, a quiet hum in your spirit that told you the tide was turning, even when the external world showed no signs of movement. This is the frequency of radiant victory, the natural result of a celestial realignment that has placed your earthly riches in direct alignment with your soul's purpose. You are no longer the warrior fighting for survival. You are the sovereign heir managing an overflow that was prepared for you before time began. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this space of truth as your new reality begins to solidify. Stay with this moment, my heir, for there is a divine invitation expiring tonight that marks the end of your time in the shadows. This is not a threat of loss, but a promise of timing a celestial window that is perfectly positioned to propel you into your next chapter of wealth and influence. You may feel a gentle pull to finally let go of the overlooked label, recognizing that the eyes of heaven have never left you for a single second. Just give this a little space to breathe, for as you release the old identity of struggle, you create the room necessary for the golden scepter of favor to rest securely in your palm. In a moment, this shift will feel as natural as waking up from a long, heavy dream. You may have sensed this before, a feeling of being on the edge of something great, only to be pulled back by the gravity of your old habits or the voices of those who don't see your light. But today, the gravity has shifted, and the voices of scarcity have no power to tether you to the ground. You are noticing now that the suffocating heaviness has been replaced by a radiant victory that makes your very footsteps feel light and purposeful. The realignment of your earthly riches is not a reward for your perfection, but a manifestation of your persistence as a warrior who refused to let go of the promise. You have moved from searching for a miracle to becoming the miracle, and the world is already beginning to adjust to your new vibration. As an overlooked warrior of faith, you were taught to be grateful for the crumbs, but as a sovereign heir, you are being taught to expect the feast. There is a micro-tension in your spirit as you reconcile these two ways of being, a necessary friction that refines your character and prepares you for the responsibility of abundance. You may find that tomorrow, your decisions are guided by a wisdom that bypasses the logic of not enough and operates from the reality of more than enough. This is the total transformation of your financial and spiritual DNA, a process that is being completed in the quiet of this very moment. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that inner resonance is the confirmation that the scepter is yours. My beloved, take a moment to notice the deep, resonant peace that has settled into your heart as we reach the end of this revelation. The celestial realignment is no longer a future event. It is a present reality that is unfolding in your accounts, your opportunities, and your health. You are no longer the person who walked into this moment with a heavy spirit and a clouded mind. You are the radiant victor who stands at the threshold of a new age. Rest in this awareness, for the overlooked warrior has been brought into the king's presence, and the golden scepter of favor is the seal upon your new life. If this has touched you, you are always welcome here to stay connected to the truth of your abundance and the beauty of your becoming. The light of your transformation is now shining so brightly that the shadows of the past can no longer find a place to hide. You are stepping out into a world that has been realigned to favor you, to support you, and to celebrate the riches you carry both within and without. Your journey from suffocating heaviness to radiant victory is a testimony that will inspire many, for you have proven that faith can move even the most immovable mountains of lack. Go forth now, my heir, with the confidence of one who knows they are eternally loved and infinitely provided for. The realignment is finished. The invitation has been accepted, and your new story of overflow has officially begun. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that peace is my final gift to you tonight.